Hello and welcome everybody out there. It's not exactly 8 o'clock, but I figured that as soon as I can get on live, I would definitely take advantage of that. I am your host and fellow stand-up comic, Kristen Tinsley, and this is In Bed with Comics. So let me introduce to you who I have in bed with me tonight. I have, once upon a time, there was a comic that performed on the stages of Ziggy's Corner Pub, Governors in the Little Room, Coaster's Tavern. She also appeared on the Govs radio show Put Up, Shut Up, or Stand Up, Long Island Eats, and Three's Company, and Stand Up Long Island. And out of the kindness of her heart, she produced a free Memorial Day barbecue comedy show to entertain the elderly. Please welcome one of my very personal favorites, stand-up comic, Dana McAllister.
Hey. Hi.
Hi, how are you, darling?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Everything's going good so far?
Yeah, so far. Quarantine really hasn't changed my lifestyle. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it makes it okay. Right now, good.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like, I actually work a lot in my normal life, and I wish that I was actually home more and had more time to do things. Hey, everybody that's watching, hey, but it is what it is. I'm home now, and what can I do? Nothing. So I'm just spending more time with my cat, and that's it. And that's all. So whatever.
My cat has gotten so codependent that I go outside to get the mail, and all of a sudden I hear, like I can't wait until this is over. He gets, I'm meowing at you. He's looking at me like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Have you been practicing your stand-up in front of your cat? Because I do.
I mean, yeah, the cat, Littlefoot here, I just stack them all up, everything, and they have to listen to it. But that's how it's always been.
So you've been you've been practicing your stand-up, because I've been writing new bits like every single day. Not every single day, but I write down like random stuff that I think of like throughout the day, and I'm like, all right, that's gonna be good, or that's gonna be good, or.
I still have the problem with writing stuff down. I really never write anything. I'm always like, oh, I'll remember it when I get near a pad, and then I don't remember it when I'm near a pad. So.
Is that one of the challenges that you find with comedy, is retaining information to work with bits later on?
Right. Yeah. That.
Because sometimes it comes so quickly that it's just like.
Right, and I honestly have a memory for shit. Like, and it's not even like it's taking up like brain space doing important things, because it's not. It's just like, when am I gonna finish my paint by numbers? I love it. If anybody needs like something to do for quarantine, get on Amazon, get yourself a paint by numbers. It's terrific.
You should go to the class. You should do a live on how to do paint by numbers.
You just paint the color one.
I get it. You can practice your stand-up with like people watching you, like doing paint, like some sort of like quarantined female Bob Ross.
I'm gonna represent all the females, and it's not gonna be with a paint by numbers. It's gonna be like a regular paint class.
Yeah, but the paint by numbers doesn't exactly have to be clean, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. I think that was one of the first things that me and Chris Cuff were like, yeah, we're going to do like a paint and silly, and we're going to do like all kinds of like erotic, painting, and like do like comedy and stuff like that. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. That's happening.
No, yeah, I can definitely see you and Chris Cuff doing that.
Yeah, because I think it was the year I had my surgery. She did a pornographic cookie.
Yeah.
Class. That's why I love Chris. That's why I love her. I love it.
Christmas, right? She does that Christmas.
Yeah, she does. She didn't do it this year, but I'm definitely gonna make sure that she does it. If we're out of like lockup by then. I don't know. I mean, that's what people are gonna start bitching about now. Right after July 4th, just wait and see. They're gonna start talking about, what are you gonna do about Christmas? What are we gonna do? Like,
let's just all stay home. I really thought I went out a lot more than I realized I did, because it's like now I'm like, oh, I guess 2 hours every Monday really didn't affect my life.
Right. I almost like punched a hole through like my windshield because I really needed to clean my car out today, because I slipped and fell at the barn with the horses. and busted my ass in some mud and horse shit, and I got it all over my car. And I really just wanted to go to like a car wash and just to get everything like, cleaned out. Oh yeah, I totally scraped up my elbow like some 5-year-olds playing on the goddamn playground.
Horseback riding so therapeutic. I used to ride it was called Thomas's School of Horseback Riding. They had like a physically disabled section where they put us.
Yeah.
And I don't know it wasn't like how I'm describing it. It was like a class for us, not like they put us in a corner. But
just sit there in the corner, don't get kicked.
Yeah. But no, it was fun. They taught me how to do the stables and stuff, so I know it's really difficult.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to do that?
Horses?
I'm conducting this interview now.
Oh, okay. I actually don't have a choice because my sister has 2 horses that she takes care of. She has one of them that's a baby horse that needs to be fed lunch, and then there was going to be like a major storm, so I had to bring the horses in. So.
Oh, okay.
But I come from like a very big family of like horse loving, crazy cowboy people. My dad, God rest his soul today, 21 years.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's been dead for 21 years. I'm over it. Love you, Daddy. But he, my dad was a big time horse person, and all throughout Huntington, so it's in my blood.
Right.
I'll saddle up and ride at any time, but oh, God. All right.
Horses anymore.
Yeah. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you love stand-up comedy?
God, see, I feel like every comic expects me to say 10, but I really fucking don't. So,
as honest as you are, you know who you're talking to here, right?
Like, I'm giving it like a 6, and here's why. So, I'm brand new still in the comedy field, and I didn't expect to do any of this. I one time went to an open mic once, and I guess I was good, and then I got put on your show actually from there, and then next thing I know, I'm doing this every week. So it really spontaneously happened. As we both know, standing up isn't my forte to begin with, and I find that my self-consciousness about that on the stage really affects my comedy and how much fun I have in comedy.
I never saw any self-consciousness on stage ever.
Well, what I'm starting to wonder is maybe if I would have more fun doing a different aspect of comedy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe I would enjoy an improv more. Or, like, I know I really enjoy podcasts. Maybe there's something I could do sitting down where people, just for me to be more comfortable. Because I know I'm pretty
right, yeah.
And I don't really, like, it's not that I don't enjoy it. I love when I have a good fucking set. And that feeling, I'm sorry for cursing.
Curse all you want. Who cares?
I always forget, like with certain podcasts, you can't do certain things. So, I feel like, I'll tell you stories. But, I feel like for me, even though I do have I love that feeling, and I'm wondering if I can get that feeling without the week of anxiety beforehand of what if I fall down while I'm in the middle of my set. Stuff like that.
Well, I did try stand-up sitting down because I have self-conscious because of when I first started comedy, I was still like 460 pounds. Right. So even to stand, even like to move around to get up to the stage because like I'm nervous as it is. And like when I'm already nervous, like I can't breathe. So getting up to the stage, because, people that are overweight have, I don't want to say it's a disability, but it kind of is.
Right.
Because you really can't move like everybody else. And yes, it does hurt. And I feel self-conscious. So I don't really throw my performance as much as I'd like to into it. But when I found that when I sat down, when I was at my heaviest, now I don't give a fuck. But when I was like, when I sat down for the first time, I actually felt more comfortable and I was able to let myself flow because you bring yourself down onto the level of the audience by sitting down because they're sitting down.
Exactly.
And I completely get that. And I remember the first time I saw you do stand up. That was the first time me and Chris, we were like recruiting comics for Vagisilly. And I saw you and I was just like, that's the comic that I'm looking for. I didn't know that anything about you. I didn't know anything about you.
That was my first time ever doing stand up ever.
Yeah.
Then. So,
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that. And I was like, Chris was like, but I felt more comfortable because Chris knew you. And, it doesn't matter, when I see something, I know what I want, and I can see talent from a mile away. So I'm like, I know that this is exactly what's up, Jack? I know what I'm looking for. So, and I knew it. And I think the first time I saw you, I think it was Renee's open mic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Cousin Craig's.
Cousin Craig's, yeah, those were good times back then. And you were sitting down, and you definitely gave. I mean, I've seen you do.
I told the Special Olympics, I think, right?
The Special Olympics joke, yeah. That's what had me rolling. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, this girl, she's get out there. She's really talking about it. But those are the types of experiences that most people don't get to experience. And when you say it in a funny way, that's what makes it very funny. Is that one of the sets that you would think that people love the most about you? Or what is like a set that you think that people are like, oh my God, I really love that?
Well, for me, I mean, the polio jokes are my go-to, because that's what it's been a coping skill for me for like my whole life. Like, I don't know, like playing, like making friends in school and having polio, which nobody's ever heard of, you know what I mean? So like playing Marco Polo turned into Marco Polio. So I had to develop a sense of humor from a young age, even though that was the most unoriginal goddamn polio joke I've ever heard from all these stupid kids.
Oh my God.
Yes. But no, I find that when you take something that's almost taboo, like a physical disability or a sexual orientation or race, and you say it on a stage, and you say it in such a way where like it's a truth, but it's a funny truth to point out, like right. The shock humor almost, that's what I love. So I will always 100% of the time go for shock humor, and like I make it a game with myself. Like I tell all my friends when I get off stage, sometimes there's part of my set where I say the word retarded, and the power you feel saying it into the microphone, like I've never felt like more alive.
Retard!
Yeah, and like, because people, they think I'm allowed to say it because I limp. I'm not allowed, but it's okay.
No, we can say it because, wait, how old are you?
I'm 31.
You're so young, but you're still within that realm. But I'm a child of the 80s and the 90s, and we totally said retard, like the word, like people say the word like, we said retard like that. Like we had no, like, there was no cutoff. I
mean, like, and I have a cousin, Kathy, and she's retarded, and that's fine. So I feel like it's okay for me to say it. But no, my point is, like, I found that's when I discovered it's like anything that's taboo that you're not supposed to hear to begin with, said into a microphone by somebody who looks like me. Because I'm not an aggressive person. I don't mean harm, and it's very rare that another person has polio for them to feel offended by it, which is
that's what I think makes you stand out, because you can get on stage and people would think, people are automatically thinking something.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, I bet you think that I have X, Y, or Z, but I actually have polio.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, so it depends on, and some people wouldn't know what that is, but I grew up in the 80s and I knew about Teddy Roosevelt, and he had polio. So we were thoroughly educated on that. But I mean, so that really gives you an advantage over it. But does it ever bother you?
I am. If you, I'm sorry. I'm a step ahead of the rest. It helps me. Polio got my dead leg through the door, and now I'm a comedian. So,
did you ever, like, when you were growing up, did you ever dream or aspire to be a comic? Was there any famous comic that ever was like, I want to do that?
No, I actually, when I was younger, I wanted to be a singer, and I was like all about it. I wanted to be in like a boy band, except the girl version, But my brother's friends.
I never knew that about you, and I know a lot about you, but I never knew that about you.
I know. I keep my talents hidden. I like to only show what I'm bad at, like comedy. But no, my brother's friends all the time would say, "Oh, you should be a stand-up comedian. You should do stand-up. You're so funny." And I'd always be like, "Yeah, I am. I am so funny." But I never wanted to actually do it because, like, what if I wasn't that funny? And like, right. So I don't know, that time when I went to Cousin Craig's, it was just like, it had just, the stars lined up. I was like in a bad place. I had just, I was like freshly sober, I think. One of my best friends had just like overdosed, and it was like he's fine, but you know, it was a thing. And I was just like, fuck it, let him laugh at me. It can't be worse than the week I've had. And it was the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, I would say it is, because I would think that with laughter, you know, you got made fun of, you know, for having polio when you were a child. Right. And it was like something that was different. And you know, I mean, I know what that's like, you know, being the tall girl, being the overweight girl, being the new girl all the time. You know, it gives you that edge, it gives you that sense of humor to get you through stuff. Right. But if you learn how to use it in the right way, no one can ever really, you know, take that away from you. Right. You know, because you have that, you own it. And right away that sets you apart from everybody else. But so what were your comedy influences growing up? Like, who did you watch on, who really made you like really laugh?
I mean, I didn't really get into comedy until I was like after, like very recently, like maybe when I was in like my first rehab, so that's like what, 2011. But like I was really into like Louis C.K. is a big one for me. I really love Ari Shaffir. I love Tom Segura. I hate for some. I don't have a lot of female comics that I like for some reason. I don't know why. I like a lot of.
Not as out there as much as
no, like
not as pushed to the forefront.
If I could, I find some, and some are funny. I find I don't relate as much to it, and it's funny. And I've been thinking about why don't I? And it's really
why don't you?
Because I don't have a lot of girlfriends. I don't have any sisters. I don't have any cousins. So like, what do they joke about? A lot of people, they joke about sex, and I'm not really doing that. And like, you know, if they joked about physical therapy, I'd be on board. But no, so I understand like the guys, and they talk about being lonely and bullshit like that.
Can't get a date, can't get laid. Yeah, I totally get it. Like, I get it right here. Like, hello, right here.
I don't get like it. A comedian telling a story about how she got out of a ticket, you know, showing a little cleavage. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't relate to that.
Right, yeah. But I find a lot of other women can, and that's why they like women comedians. And I've always been like, why don't I? It's weird because women are funny, and they are funny jokes. They just haven't been from me.
Right, because I feel like it's situational. Like I feel like a lot of the comics that are out there now, like whether they're famous or not so famous, you know, they talk about like being married, and they talk about having children, and they talk about all this stuff, and I'm like, well, I can't really relate to that because. Not that I don't think it's funny, because I'm laughing because I can relate to what I've heard about this, like being married and having children. But, you know, I'm just kind of sitting there like, you fucking bitch. Like, I would love to feel my vagina opening up to the size of the fucking Holland Tunnel and having like a mini version of me like shoot out in like a ball of slime. Like, really? And like totally love to have a husband go out and buy me ice cream in the middle of the night. Like, why are you complaining? Like, what the fuck?
Exactly, stuff like that. So
yeah.
It's just funny. Or like even like they talk about like makeup and stuff. I'm like, I you know how long it took me to find my tube of mascara for this podcast? Like 20 minutes. I had no idea where that thing was.
That's good comedy right there. Write that down. That's a good bit. That is definitely a good bit.
Okay, I'll write it down.
I got more questions for you.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, what is your favorite comedy movie? And what is the scene that made you laugh?
I don't know. I don't know if it counts as a comedy movie or not. Like my favorite, I guess, when I think of a comedy movie, I'm gonna have to go with like the vacation movies, the Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
But then my favorite all-time movie is Wizard of Oz, and that's like kind of funny.
So that movie is hysterical. I don't care what anyone says.
Exactly.
That movie is hysterical.
No, but I mean, I'm gonna have to go ahead and go with the vacation movies. I really like the Chevy Chase vacation, but that's more for sentimental reasons. Like me and my grandparents would watch that and stuff. Yeah.
How about I love that. I was actually watching it the other day when I was getting my car fixed. And the Flying Monkeys, and I'm like, no one has ever dared to recreate anything as scary as the fucking Flying Monkeys.
I was never scared of them. A lot of my friends were though.
Scary. They're not scared. Like if like a scary monkey like came up to me and like tried to like swoop me up, first of all, like you're not really gonna be able to pick me up, motherfucker, but I could probably like punch your freaking fedora off your head and just call it a day or whatever that thing is they're wearing on your head. Like they're just not scary, but
Kristen,
if you think about it.
It was just pointed out to me. Remember when you said you know all about polio because of Teddy Roosevelt? You know it wasn't Teddy, right?
Yes, it was.
No, FDR. I let it slide, but too many people are bringing.
Who said that? FDR? No, it wasn't. Teddy Roosevelt. Yes, he did have polio.
He didn't. Look it up.
I'm not gonna look it up. I'm not gonna look it up.
Okay.
Are you sure? Was he in a wheelchair?
No.
Somebody fucking look that up right now and tell me if Teddy Roosevelt, because he was in a wheelchair. Franklin D. Roosevelt? No, it wasn't.
Robin Williams played him in Night of the Museum, and he rode a horse, Kristen.
Why did I mix that up? Because I'm fucking crazy. That's why. I don't know, but I'm old. So, okay. So, Teddy Roosevelt. Okay. So, is that who it is? FDR? No, FDR. Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
It's the same last name.
Ableist.
But it doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. Polio's polio. Doesn't matter who has it. It doesn't matter. I thought it was. Who's the one that has the mansion in Oyster Bay?
That's Teddy.
Isn't that the one that has polio?
I think what you're saying, he has a mansion in Oyster Bay that doesn't have an elevator, right? So why would he have?
Yeah, but wasn't he in a wheelchair?
No. How would he get to the top floor of his mansion?
Did he have his maids drag him up the stairs? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know shit about polio. All right, you caught me. I don't know shit about it. I know what it is.
I wasn't gonna say anything, and then I looked on the comments, and there was like 3 people, and I was like, if I don't address it, they'll think I don't know. And so
no, that's totally cool that they addressed it, but tell them to address this, okay? Because no one fucking challenges Kristen Tinsley. Tell me who else has
the shooter from the McDonald's massacre in 1986.
I remember that in 1986. I remember watching that on TV and looking at my dad and being like, so I guess we're not going to get any cheeseburgers today, huh?
That was messed up, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. There's been some crazy shit in history. All right, so your favorite movie is basically The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Very funny. I mean, I watch it now as an adult and I think to myself, it is pretty funny.
It has like the physical comedy in it too.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Like the trees and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I always kind of thought it was more along the lines of like a dark comedy, but it's really not. Like it is and it isn't, you know, but the Cowardly Lion is my all-time favorite character. I just identify with that character the most. Because courage like really takes, you know, courage is like the one thing that I think that most people, you know, don't find, where like Dorothy is like the embodiment of fear, you know?
Right.
So I don't know.
Faber says that Michael Jackson's mother had polio. So that's 5 points to Gryffindor for Mike Faber.
Mike Faber, you're making me look bad here. What the hell? You should have texted me. Really? I didn't know that. And that's interesting. Could that be the reason why he has what he has? I don't want to say what he has just in case I fuck it up and make myself look stupid right now.
Yeah.
Does he,
pedophilia?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a correlation with like polio and pedophilia. I mean, I could ask.
Michael J. Fox is not a pedophile. He has
polio, he has Parkinson's.
He has Parkinson's disease. So I wonder if there's a connection between Parkinson's and polio.
Maybe.
Are you gonna get Parkinson's disease? Don't worry.
Hold on. Michael Jackson. Not Michael J.
Oh, I thought you said Michael J. Fox. I thought you said Michael J. Fox.
No, I was really like, I had to triple check that real quick. I was like, which Michael? No, Jackson.
Which Michael? Somebody said the funniest joke.
What?
Somebody said the funniest joke about Michael Jackson's father, which always makes me laugh because this is a show about comedy.
Tell it.
Somebody said that Michael Jackson's father looked like Satan fucked a California raisin.
That's kind of funny.
Every time I hear that, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That is the funniest joke I've ever heard in my life. The funniest jokes you've ever heard in life. Like, what is the one thing that just, like, that somebody has said that just made you, like, die of laughter?
Oh, no.
Name names on this show. I don't really care. They can come at me. I don't care.
One thing that's made me die of laughter. Oh, God. It has to be something somebody else said.
Whatever you want.
I'm playing. Oh, God. Who had a joke? What was it? 9 Volt gets me every time. So there's Nick Tardo has this joke.
Love him. I love him.
Every time he goes on stage, and I feel almost bad because he's almost boxed himself in with this. Like, he can't ever not go on stage like this. But he goes, they call me 9 Volt. And then always something fucking different, though. It's like, because I'm short and square, and I'm like, I die every fucking time.
Yeah, every time he says that. You're right. Yeah, that's it.
So I gotta go with that one.
Yeah, every time. That's definitely one thing. What's the worst joke you've ever heard someone say? Like, have you ever actually witnessed a bombing on stage?
Yeah, but like, I used to go to places with like Richard. I don't care. I'll say his name.
I'm not friends with him on Facebook, so I don't really give a fuck.
All right, cool. Yeah, no, like I watched him bomb on stage. That was fun.
You should have recorded that and sent it to me. That would have been like my masturbational. Like,
he hit me, tried to lick my ear, and then bombed on stage while I went outside and waited for like.
Oh, that's the guy that came for me during that Mother's Day show with that fucking wacko that he
did. Yeah, with Esther.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that incident. Did you see the video the other day?
No, I didn't. What happened?
Oh, girl, you don't even know.
What?
I'll tell you later. I'm not gonna give any airtime to anybody else but you on my show.
Woohoo!
You don't give airtime to anybody else. If you're on the show, get airtime. But yeah. Have you ever bombed on stage? I've never seen you bomb.
I don't think I have, actually. I mean, like, I've had times where I felt I didn't do well, but I've never had a set where nobody laughed. I've always had pretty significant laughs because no one's gonna not laugh. Like, to be fair, and like everyone's gonna be like, no, Dana, that's not true, but it is true. Like, if you're an audience member, no matter how bad the little crippled comedian girl does, you're gonna clap for her. So I don't know if I bombed or not.
That's not true.
Because yes, it is.
I've seen you do. I think one of the last performances that I saw you do. There's been a couple of performances, particularly on my shows, where you've done a flawless performance. I've seen you get up there and do like some sets that were like, all right, I gotta go off the stage right now. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're totally fucking
panic sometimes.
Panic, yeah.
Do I cry in front of them or do I cry privately?
Have you overcome that as a comic? Because I used to be the same way where I would be like, all right, I'm gonna cry, or like I really just feel like I can't do this right now and I have panic attacks. But now I'm just like, I don't really care. But like, have you overcome that?
No, actually. So actually on my Facebook memories, I saw that like a year ago, sometime last week, I had my very first show. And it was James Ranioli's show at Ziggy's. And so he had...
He's going to kill you for fucking up his last name.
He doesn't give a fuck. So he's going to be like, it's okay. Nobody wants to look me up anyway. So, no.
Eeyore. Yeah.
Great, and I love him. No, that's Steve Rocco Perillo, the third.
That's Steve. That's James Randiolo too.
I digress. So James Randiolo, he was like, oh, isn't that the show where you had a meltdown and nobody came? And I go, that's all my shows. So yes, part of my pre-show ritual is that I have a meltdown either on stage or before going on stage. But I always manage to get a few laughs in no matter how badly I think I do. So.
I've seen you do some sets that, I mean, I've seen you progress since the first time I met you. And we did the comic commercial together. The Feminine Fairies. I I actually watched that the other day and I was like, wow, like I really should have given like Dana like a, but you did two comic commercials that day. That must
Yes.
have been brutal for you having to work with me like twice.
It wasn't that bad because one was upstairs the whole time. So it was just me and Bonnie talked upstairs while you, and I didn't even really need to be there because it was over the phone that I was doing it, right? So
yeah, and it worked out really well. Like, do you see yourself like maybe getting into, because I know that like with the comedy jump off, a lot of people that do stand-up comedy, like, because like, you know, you can have a stand-up comedy career, you know, if you're lucky enough to land that. But I feel like there's a lot of comics out there that jump into acting. Do you see yourself doing something like that?
yeah, I mean, I took acting classes growing up and stuff like that. I've always liked acting, so that's something I could see myself definitely doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's.
I could see it because there's so many different opportunities out there now for people to get involved with different types of roles and different. I just love that. Like it's not like the typical cliche type thing. And I feel like when you can do comedy, you know, you could basically pretty much do anything because if you can make people laugh like you can, you know. So how did it feel to produce your own show? I remember that show. I was actually late to that show and I missed it.
Oh, that show was nuts. So what happened was we made it sound really good, but I'm gonna give you a little secret. So that charity event that I put on was, I live in a building with elderly and disabled people. It's a HUD housing for Nassau County. So they had a little Memorial Day party and they had asked me, they found out I was a comedian. I don't know how. They found out and they asked me if I would provide entertainment. And I don't want these people to keep calling the cops on me, Kristen, because they've done it 3 times already.
They call the cops on you?
Yeah, I don't want to get into it on Facebook Live, but yeah, they want to steal my youth.
They do. They're jealous. Look at that fucking young bitch next door. Call 911. Fuck her.
So I had decided, I was like, that's it. I'm gonna throw a comedy show. They'll have no reason to dislike me. And I didn't know how hard it was. So it was like I was 3 months into doing this, and I had just put on Facebook. You know,
you closed me. You're like, help!
Yeah, because I thought it was so last minute. Nobody's gonna want to do it because I was stupid. So I'm like, so I put it on Facebook and I was like, I know it's really last minute. I don't know if anyone's gonna want to do it. And then James emails me. He's like, you know, if you say that you're giving people time, they're going to flood. And that's what happened.
Oh yeah. You probably still have people waiting out in your courtyard. Did you tell them the show was over?
No, yeah. It was so bad. It was like I had 17, I think, was the end of comics that each did 8 minutes. I think Adrian Davis did 10 minutes.
She was very new back then, Adrian. I didn't know Adrian back then. I know.
But what happened was I originally told everybody that they could do 10 minutes because I didn't think a lot of people would come.
Right.
And all of a sudden, so many people came, and she had emailed me privately, and you know, it was fair. It was, you know, she was like, I already prepared 10. I was like, that's fine, whatever. Devin Bramble was nice enough to host for me. I love Devin. Steve Schaefer, he ended up helping me organize. It was so funny because the comedians ended up, I don't drink, but they do. And so the barbecue people, you know, everyone was drinking. And I asked Steve, who is a member of AA, to go and get more. And he was so nice enough to do that for me. So Steve was a big help. Like everybody really, what's cool about the comedy world, at least on Long Island, and I hear it's not like this elsewhere, but on Long Island, everybody's really helpful to each other. And everybody really seems like, it's like, yeah, it's cliquey or whatever, but it doesn't seem as like isolated as most other comic scenes do. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like, I feel like it's cliquey.
There's a lot of help.
Yeah, but I feel like it's cliquey, but I also feel like there's a way of getting in there also if you approach it the right way. Like if you act like an asshole and you try to like, you know, like try to like get in there in like some type of sneaky way. But if you come in as like a very genuine person, I feel like people will accept you. Like the first place I ever did stand-up comedy was at Ziggy's Corner Pub. Yeah. With everybody, you know, like, so I didn't ever really feel like, you know, I didn't really belong anywhere. I may not be around all the time, but just because I work all the time, you know, I don't really have time to like go, you know, all over the place and go to the city and all that. But now because of what's going on now, we're all kind of like locked in the house. Like I definitely want to reach out to more comics that are all over the world because, you just never know who you're gonna meet. And I get very excited about meeting like different people, you
Right.
know, like from all over the world. Like there's comedy like that's so much like bigger outside of Long Island. And if you can get to know those people and get to know like what makes them laugh in different countries, I feel like, you know, you just make yourself more of like an entire package, you know,
Right.
where you can really find out like, okay, well, what makes you laugh in Scotland? What makes you laugh in Africa? Like, what
I
makes you laugh in Nigeria? You know, like, come on, you know, France. What does anything make people laugh in France? I don't think so.
no, I don't.
Oh, your baguette went stale?
I don't know. Me personally, I have to master what Americans like before I start trying to culture myself.
Yeah, no, it's very hard. Like, have you ever found that like, do you even care like what makes people laugh, or you just go
No,
for it? Like, I'm just me, I don't care.
all my jokes I tell for me. Like
Yeah.
real. Like I don't care if other people have a good time. I don't. And as soon as this stops being fun for me, I'm out. I don't care if people enjoy it or not. So that's
Right.
always the rule. If it's not fun for me, then I'm not going to do it anymore. Like
Exactly.
some days that I don't have fun, and there's some times like I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this, whatever. But on the whole, I have fun doing this as a, maybe, or I don't know. I don't know what would come of it, but it's
And
fun.
it's a social, I feel like if you work hard enough at it, and I just like from observing you, I feel like you definitely have more talents other than just doing stand-up comics. Like I feel like you would probably be, you know, a pretty good writer too.
Thank you.
So, you know, I think that because you're witty and you're sharp and you know you're really good at coming up with things, I really think that you know, definitely try to take up some comedy writing, because there's a whole entertainment industry out there that needs different writers for different things, and you just
Right.
never know, you know, where you're going to land. So, are you
Cool.
ready for the next question? Speaking of the entertainment industry, let's get to that one. If there was a comedy written about your life, who would play you? Pick from this, or you can pick your own. I picked for you, but you can pick your own.
Okay.
Anna Faris, Jenny McCarthy, or Amy Smart. I picked all white people because I didn't want to be offensive, you know.
I appreciate that.
But you
the
can pick anyone you want.
The second one.
The second one, Jenny
Who was-
McCarthy.
Oh
Anna
no,
Faris, Jenny McCarthy, or Amy Smart.
Melissa McCarthy.
Melissa McCarthy. Well, I said, did I say Jenny? Ooh, I met Melissa.
Oh,
I like Melissa McCarthy. I like her.
she's
But
funny.
Jenny McCarthy has her own comedy, like stand-up way of doing things.
Positive that is. I'm not gonna lie
Jenny,
to you.
you don't know who Jenny McCarthy is?
I'm not good with faces and names.
Jenny McCarthy used to host a show back in the day called Singles Out on MTV. She wrote a comedy movie. I cannot think of it right now. She wrote a comedy that was very funny. I think it's actually on Netflix. I'll hit you up back with it later. But she's actually pretty funny. But she's the cousin of Melissa McCarthy.
Oh,
Most people don't know that. So I mean, I think everybody knows it now. But I mean, I think that, you know. So you would pick Melissa McCarthy.
yes.
Why?
Because she's funny and a redhead and also a little overweight, and like she doesn't give a fuck what other people think of her. And so that's the kind of attitude I try to have. It doesn't work ever, but I try.
What would be the highlight of that movie that people would be like, that could really like identify with you as a person? Like what?
You see a scene happening where she just tumbles down like a hill, but it like, it keeps going, and then she goes off the hill into like the forest trail, and it's just, you can't get, and you land in like a prosthetic store or something like that. I think that it would really be very fun.
Have you ever witnessed any total nightmares on stage? Like somebody just like where you're just sitting there like,
I mean, I got to bring up Richard Einhorn again.
no, pick someone else. Don't give him any airtime. Don't even bring, he's like a fucking boogeyman. Don't mention his name because then he'll pop up.
Amateur comedy. No, I went to see Pete Davidson. I'm bringing it up. I don't give a fuck. So Pete Davidson really had me going. Like, he's my favorite and I loved him, right? But my friend Steve spent $100 for me and him to go watch this guy have a full borderline moment on stage.
Ooh, sexy. Oh,
No,
$100 tickets? Yes.
no.
$100 tickets?
I'm gonna fucking sign right off of here.
No,
No,
I'm kidding.
it's not like,
Renting!
anyway. So, well, I'm saying he spent good money, and fucking Pete Davidson's treating it like an open mic. And then some guy brought up Ariana or whatever the girl's name is.
Yeah, Ariana Grande.
And then the guy, so Pete Davidson's like, that's it, I'm gonna leave. And that was a cringe moment I had, just because I'm like, I felt bad for him, like almost like embarrassed for him. Like, you're a professional, sir. Grow up.
Why would you leave over somebody bringing up somebody that you obviously dated? Like,
exactly.
why would you?
Like, grow up. You're gonna have to deal with it. I don't care how mentally ill you
Spent
are.
their money to come see you, not see you give like a fucking.
It wasn't only that though. Like, he was reading off his book. Like, his openers were more professional than he was, and his openers were very funny. I forget their names, but they were very funny.
See, that's what people think. Oh, I opened for such and such person, and then it's like, yeah, but nobody cares because they're there to see X, Y, Z. So. I write down names every time I go to a show, like a professional comedy show, and I see somebody that's really like, oh my god, like you rocked it. Right. I write down their names, I look them up, and I see, and I follow them around a little bit so that I can see that, you know, what their career is like, because those are the people that you want to get a hold of. Mm-hmm. You can watch, you know, what's going on and like kind of like see what they're doing. So what do you think is like the future of comedy right now? Like, how do you see yourself? Because like there's a lot of comics out there that can't wait to get back to a stage. There's a lot of comics out there that can't wait to get back to an open mic. Like, what are you excited about? Like, what is going to be like, what are you going to do? Because you know you're probably going to get dragged on one of my online shows, right?
What?
You know you're probably going to get dragged on one of my online shows, right?
Online shows? Yeah, sure. That'd be cool.
Oh, don't think I'm working on something. Don't worry.
Of course. I mean, yeah, that'd be fun. I mean, I plan on doing what I was doing before. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'd been kind of like sleeping on it a little while. I'd been skipping some open mics. I was going through some personal stuff. But now that that's all settled, I plan on getting out there a lot more. You know, maybe they'll do like hologram like comedy soon, like coming out, like project us at Ziggy's Corner Pub or something.
That could work.
You have that kind of technology?
I could probably sleep with someone that does, because I realized that my female comedy power, i.e. Batman, I sleep in this Batman t-shirt.
Yes, I sleep a little.
I mean, I had thought of this idea before this whole thing happened. When I did the fat version, I said, well, because like, you know, the comics, you know, and sometimes it's hard to bring people to shows. So I said, you know, if you guys want to actually, you know, have people watch from home, they could buy a ticket through PayPal, Venmo, or Cash App, whatever it is. And they could sit there and they could watch in the comfort of their own home, because everybody can leave the house. You know, sometimes people have kids, or they just can't leave the house, or, you know, whatever it is, and they just don't want to go out, you know, that's fine. But, you know, and this way, or they're elderly or whatever it is. But now that this technology, and all the comments like, no way, that would never work. But, well, guess what? It worked. It's happening. You know what I mean? So, and I was very secretive about it, and I did it on the show, the fat version, and I did have two people, my friend Abby, watch from Arizona, and my friend, you know, from Florida watch, because I have a lot of friends that are out of state that don't live here. They'd love to come to my comedy shows, they can't. But why not have that? You really can build a very big fan base doing that.
Right.
Where you have these shows, you could also get comics that people haven't seen before. And that's why I like this technology, because I can actually talk and meet with people that I've never met before, so I know what their comedy style is, and be like, okay, you'd be good for this show, and then, you know, do a Zoom, or do, you know, some sort of other technology where I can, you know, screen them in to do their set. So I'm really hoping that comics are really working hard out there so that they can, you know, actually get used to just talking, you know, to basically no one, and doing their set and getting a reaction from the audience. Because that's the way I see, you know, the future of comedy going. Because I don't know if we're going to be able to, you know, congregate in such large masses anytime soon. But you could definitely make money online from online tickets, and just have people, you know, do it that way. You just have to be a smart producer, and you have to kick, you know, money to the bar, the venue, whoever's hosting you, and that's just the way it's going to be because comedy's just not going to die. It's just not going to happen. So.
Right. No, I agree.
Are you ready for the $1 million question?
Yes.
You may not want to answer it though. The $1 million question. Any comic, famous or non-famous, that you would like to take to bed?
Tom Crescenzo. No.
Because there's a lot of people who would like to take that to bed. I can agree with high five on that. I can agree with that.
I'm joking. I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Don't joke about that. Be proud of that. Be like, yeah, I'm gonna take you to bed, boy. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm gonna lay you out. Yep, I hear you. I hear you on that.
Well, this was a great time.
Yeah, it definitely was. I had a great time talking to you.
Thank you for having me on this. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're welcome. I had a good time talking to you. You know, I'd love to see you again, and I'd love to, definitely talk to you further about doing, more shows, doing online shows and stuff like that, because I know you could do it. I know you could.
Definitely. And I'm glad I got to educate you on which presidents had what.
Oh God.
And
you know what? I love it when because I'm such like a arrogant type of woman. I love it when people school me. It actually turns me on. I love when people are like, oh, you're wrong. And I'm like, ooh.
There you go.
Yeah. Actually, tomorrow I think that there's an improv class.
Oh.
Online.
Ooh.
I'm just gonna have you join it, and you can come take the improv class.
Yeah, send me the deets. Definitely.
All right. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a lot of fun doing that. So.
Yeah, I'd like to do that. That'd be fun. Send me the details.
All right. Bye. I'll talk to you later, Dana. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So thank you everybody for watching In Bed with Comics. That was my friend Dana McAllister. I'm your host and fellow comic, Kristen Sibley. If you would like a spot on the show, get your girl up. Let me know, say what's up. If you're a new comic that we've never met before and we just became random friends on Facebook, I would love to hear from you. I would love to talk to you. I would love to have you in my bedroom. I'd love to hear all about your comedy, all about your show. I appreciate everybody so much for watching. I will be back on Thursday. I'm not sure exactly who my guest is going to be because I have to do a little bit of convincing. So we'll see, but I guarantee you it'll probably be somebody really awesome anyway. So thank you so much for watching In Bed with Comics. I will see you all very soon. Have a good night. Bye.